Alright, so Cobra Kai Season 4, for those of you who don't know, I'm doing a recap of all 4 seasons leading up to the 5th season of Cobra Kai. So, yeah, I'm very late to getting around to Season 5, but hey, it is what it is. I wanted to take my time and rewatch these, especially since I think I only watched Season 4 once. So, the other ones I've seen quite a few times, but Season 4, just the one time, I believe. This is a very big season for a very big character to come in, and that character is Terry Silver, played by Thomas Ian Griffith. And by the way, didn't mention this in the beginning, but this is going to be more of a spoiler review, so I'm going to be talking about big moments from this season. So if you don't want spoilers for this season, or really any of them that come before, then I suggest you click off this video. But if you want my general consensus and thoughts on the show of Cobra Kai, definitely go check out my season 1 review, which is a spoiler free review, and I talk a little bit about how I feel about the show. So, yeah, go check that out if you don't want any spoilers, but you have been warned. Let's talk about some shit, all right? So, definitely not my favorite season. In fact, I would say that my favorite seasons in order actually go in order of the seasons. So one would be my favorite, and this one would be my least favorite so far. That doesn't necessarily mean that I don't like this season. There's a lot of really cool things that they do, especially with the production value, like the stunt choreography and the fight scenes in this season particularly. I think look incredible, especially the fight sequence between Hawk and or not Hawk, but Eli at that point, and it was the fight between him and Robbie at the All Valley tournament. And that fight was so well choreographed and looked so cool, and I absolutely loved that fight. So, yeah, I would say that's probably my favorite fight of the season. Maybe not of the whole show, because there's better kind of matchups, I would think. But in terms of just the stunt choreography and the fight choreography with that particular scene, definitely my favorite fight from this season. The fight between Sam and what's her face? Why can't I remember her name? I don't know. Tori. Um, the fight between her and Tori, I was just like, it's fine. I mean, it kind of leads to the whole the game was rigged or whatever, and Terry Silver was behind it. Which honestly, he's a even bigger villain than Kreese, and even out villains Kreese at some points in this season, especially in the last episode when, you know, he frames Kreese for beating up Stingray. So, by the way, Paul Walter Hauser returning as Raymond slash Stingray in this season. He's a really great actor. If you have not seen Richard Jewell, I highly recommend that movie. He gives a very amazing performance in that film, so I would highly recommend you check that out. But he's hilarious in this show, and I love to see him whenever he pops up. Another person that we see kind of pop up just for an episode, for even less time than Stingray, is Nicole Brown as Aisha, who is there to kind of give Sam some advice when she needs it after her mom is like helping out Tori with her situation, and completely takes the advice that Aisha gave her and does pretty much the opposite of what Aisha was recommending her to do with the situation with Tori. So I'm just like, I mean, in a way, Sam, in terms of like Sam and Tori, just those two. Sam is definitely more the bully to Tori in this season, but they still do things to go at each other, so it's equal for the most part. But yeah, they do a lot of things in this season, particularly to make you sympathize more with Tori and her situation, which for the most part actually really does work. You can see that she is kind of conflicted with certain things that John Kreese and Terry Silver are telling her to do, especially in the final fight with Sam LaRusso in the All Valley. And you can see that she's starting to have a change of heart after she finds out that Terry Silver did indeed rig the match. But yeah, Tori this season I actually don't mind, and that's saying a lot because I absolutely hated her in literally season 2 and 3. So it was gonna take a lot for her to come back for me, or not even come back because I didn't like her to start with, but she's starting to grow on me. I wouldn't say she's like my favorite or anything, but I sympathize more with her in this season more than any other. So, yeah, who else do we have in here? We have Griffin Santa. I always forget how to say this. Santa Pietro as Anthony LaRusso, which isn't a new cast member, but is somebody that's having a more prominent role in this season and kind of starts off doing a little bit of karate. Doesn't really last too long. I think in the fifth season we'll actually see him joining Miyagi Do. But yeah, like there's a whole situation with Kenny, the new kid at school, played by Dallas Dupper Young, Kenny Payne. And he is the brother, and I think his name is Sean, the guy in Juvie that Robbie fought. This is his younger brother, and he kind of wants Robbie to take him under his wing. And over time, especially by the All Valley, Robbie kind of sees what he did wrong and what maybe Kreese and Terry Silver are doing wrong, just in the sheer amount of anger that's coming out of Kenny. So I think we're gonna see Robbie trying to get through to him next season, and should be interesting. Maybe, I don't know. Will they do that? Seems like they have a lot going on and a lot that they set up in this season for the next. So I feel like there's just so many different things going on. I don't know how much they're gonna have time for, but regardless, I'm still very excited to watch it. Um, Selah Austria, I believe is her name, how you pronounce it. Coming back as Piper. She had a very minor role in the last season as Moon's girlfriend. This season, she's broken up with Moon, but she was about to be a new recruit for Eagle Fang Karate, which is the dojo that Johnny, I think he started it last season, right? Pretty sure. Yeah, he started it last season. Um, and now, yeah, I mean, by the end of the season, third season, they Daniel and Johnny ended up teaming up, and that did not last long in this season. Maybe like a few episodes, and then they kind of reconciled and teamed up again towards the end. But the thing I absolutely love with Johnny and Daniel in this season is just seeing them each learn from each other. Like there's a day where they go out and Johnny learns Miyagi Do karate, and then there's a day they go out and Daniel learns Eagle Fang karate, and I just love seeing them learn different things from each other. There's especially a scene after Daniel beats up those hockey players, and Johnny was like coming back with a pretzel, and he's like, "Where the hell were you? I could use your help." And he's like, "No, be there." And Daniel sees like, "Oh my God, he's learning lessons from Miyagi Do. That's great." And then you see Johnny. You see him balancing on the board in the koi pond or whatever, like Sam and Robbie were doing in season two. I believe that was season two, right? That might have been season one actually. But you can see him balancing and doing the different kata moves, and it was so freaking cool. I loved seeing that shit. I mean, even though it didn't last long between them, I still loved seeing them just kind of getting along together. There's a fun little scene there. It really isn't anything too major, but Daniel shares some of his food with Johnny, and then Johnny shares like a sandwich. Daniel's like, "Oh my God, this guy with his freaking ham." Then he takes a bite and he's like, "It's not bad." um, so yeah, it's just like little moments like that between them that I really love. Just seeing that they can get along and they can be buddies, and just seeing that makes me happy. So I wish it would have lasted longer, but we'll probably end up seeing more in the next season, and I'm sure they'll go back and forth like they always do. But I mean, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. Speaking of Johnny and Daniel, honestly, they are the only two characters I really do care about in this show. Anybody else, I don't know, not really. Um, Robbie at the end of the, excuse me, at the end of this season, he goes to Johnny and he's like, "Man, I'm really worried about this kid Kenny. I think I set him on the wrong path." And Johnny was like, "Man, this is all my fault. You should be blaming me." And Robbie's like, "I'm tired of blaming you." And he just like collapses into Johnny's arms and he's just crying and they're hugging. And I'm just like, oh my God, finally, Robbie is a decent fucking character. Um, I mean, I loved Robbie in season one and partially season two on up until the kick. And then there's just, I mean, there's moments where all of these characters are hot heads, honestly. But I mean, Robbie towards the end of the season makes me very excited to see where he goes in the next, and also to see him team up with Miguel possibly. Just to see these characters come together is what I'm gonna enjoy most. But speaking of Miguel, I love that character. I think he's great. He's my boy. I love Miggy. Um, yeah, I'm always rooting for him. And I mean, I honestly don't feel like they gave him a whole lot to do this season necessarily because he's still kind of healing and or not necessarily healing, but you know what I mean. Um, Johnny isn't really putting him in the fight as much. He, learning from Daniel, Miguel really isn't in as many fights because he de-escalates, which isn't a bad thing, but it kind of causes some head butting between Daniel and Johnny and causes the whole train wreck that was them splitting off into two teams, which is the complete opposite of what they were trying to do when it came to taking down Cobra Kai. So that kind of sucked, but hey, they came together by the end, even though they still lost. It is what it is, I guess, and it'll make for a really interesting season five. But yeah, let me talk about two other characters in here. We have Una O'Brien as Devin Lee, which is the new recruit, the female recruit for Eagle Fang Karate, which they needed one female student to be able to participate in the tournament this season. So they got her, and I think she's a pretty fun character so far. So gonna be excited to see more from her. Hopefully next season, if they give her much to do, which I don't really know because like I said already, um, you know, no pun intended because of the whole balance thing. But I don't know how they're gonna balance so many different storylines in the next season. It does make me a little worried, but I don't know. We'll see. Terry Silver isn't like as crazy as he can be yet in this season, but I'm sure by next season he's gonna be the same kind of coked out, just crazy dude that he was describing in the beginning, the first few episodes to Kreese, how he was, in Karate Kid Part 3. So, I mean, I like seeing him in here, and I like the fact that they start off by him saying just like, you know how crazy it was that I was like torturing a teenager, like a high schooler, because of some karate tournament. Like, you know how ridiculous that sounds? And it's just like, yes, the whole audience knows how ridiculous that sounds. And the fact that you're saying it helps out tremendously. But then he kind of gets pulled in by Terry or by John Kreese once again, and kind of he isn't fully at what he was in Karate Kid Part 3, but you can see the hints of him just becoming an evil, just a supervillain essentially. He really is a supervillain. And I thought John Kreese was bad. I thought he was just spewing off the same, oh, this is the real world bullshit. Which, by the way, in my notes, I was just like, if I have to hear him say that line again, I will fucking punch a hole through my TV, which is honestly what Kreese probably wants. But hey, yeah, I mean, I don't know 100% how I feel about Terry Silver in the show yet. Part of me kind of wishes that you could just take Kreese and Silver out of the show and just have Johnny and Daniel. But, if that were what it was, then this show probably wouldn't be going on as long as it is. So you got to have these villains coming in. I've had this spoiled already for me, but it looks like Mike Barnes is going to come in next season. So hopefully I didn't just spoil that for anybody else. But I'm sure for most people, if you're watching a spoiler review for season 4 of Cobra Kai, you've probably already watched season 5. But yeah, I mean, I'm intrigued to see that. I don't really remember much of that from Karate Kid Part 3, but it's going to be interesting how they bring in other characters from the other movies because there's some that I'm not 100% familiar with. I don't know if he's supposed to be like a good guy or a bad guy or whatever he might be, but that's besides the point. I'm getting ahead of myself. The last person I want to mention here isn't in the rest of the season. He only shows up at the very end, but I know for a fact that this character is going to be in the next season because I saw the picture or the still of it on almost said Instagram on Netflix. Yuji Okamoto Yuji Okumoto. Again, hopefully I'm saying that right. I said that in the last episode. I was like, hopefully I'm not butchering this name, but Yuji Okamoto as Chosen, which is a character I fucking fell in love with in season three. Or yeah, season three? Yeah, season three. Just catching up with him, I was just like, oh my god, I love this character so much. I cannot see cannot see? I can see just fine. I cannot wait to see him come back in season five, and especially teaming up with Johnny and the little picture that I saw with them. That's gonna be so fucking cool. Just the idea of them fighting together sounds so freaking sweet, and I just can't wait. And as a Karate Kid fan, like this is the shit that makes me super excited about this show. No, none of the like relationships between Robbie and Tori or Sam and Miguel. I don't care about their relationships. I don't care who loves who or who's kissing who or who whatever, you know? I don't give a shit about that stuff. Yeah, I might like those characters for the most part and sympathize with some of those characters, but I don't give a shit who's dating who. I really don't. I don't give a shit about any of that, and they try to make so many little love triangles and shit, and I'm just like, will you shut the fuck up about these relationships for 5 minutes just to like focus on the what really matters? So again, it's a karate soap opera. That's how I describe this show to most people who haven't seen it. But that being said, I still love it. And I mean, I have plenty of issues with it. Like I said, this isn't my favorite season so far. In fact, it's probably my least favorite, but doesn't mean I dislike it because I don't. There's a lot in this season that I really do like. Um, it's just kind of the in between stuff that they feel like they need to put in there to keep drama going. That just kind of takes me out of it a little bit at times, and just makes me wish I could just see them doing more karate, because honestly for a while there it really feels like they just weren't learning any karate. Part of me is wondering like how Miguel knows the things that he knows, because we never see Johnny teaching him anymore. We never see anybody teaching anything anymore other than maybe Kreese and Silver, just because they want to set up their teaching styles and how they, butt heads. So I don't know, man. Not my favorite, but I still have fun with this show, and even these crazy elements, they don't completely take me out of it. So let me see if I have anything in my notes that I necessarily need to say. I think I already talked about the fight between Eli and Robbie. Um, Johnny and Robbie are on better terms now. Um, pardon me. Got hiccups here. Carrie Underwood has a cameo in here in a little song montage kind of thing. And I remember seeing that for the first time. I was like, why the fuck is Underwood here? And I see it now and I'm just like, yeah, I mean, it's Carrie Underwood. I don't listen to her music, but it's kind of a fun little cameo. Uh, I think I already talked, yeah, we talked about Aisha. Um, yeah, I think I pretty much covered what I want to cover with this season. There's things I do really like about this one, but it doesn't necessarily stand out above the rest. But yeah, have you seen season four of Cobra Kai? I would hope so, because this is basically a spoiler review. But yeah, do you love this season? Do you hate it? Are you in the middle? Is this your favorite or least favorite? Or I would love to know the order of seasons from most favorite to least favorite for you guys, and see kind of what other opinions are out there. So definitely comment down below. Tell me what you think. Leave a like on the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. And by the way, I said I was going to make a Clerks review, but I'm not going to be able to see Clerks 3 for a little bit because the theater nearby does not have that showing at any time within the next at least couple of weeks. I don't know. I don't know when I'll get around to that one, but we'll see. I'll try to give you guys updates on that one. But there are a couple movies that I will be watching on Thursday, so definitely stay tuned for those. But the next review I put up will most likely be my review for season 5 of Cobra Kai. So thank you all for watching. I will see you in the next one.